being able to get a lead and be able to connect with a cybersecurity professional means that you have phenomenal personality skills because you're able to sell, speak, and connect with some of the most skeptical people in the world, the professionals, white collar professionals. And that's why I love cybersecurity marketing.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Leumitech, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to another episode of 20-Minute Leaders. Today I'm with Yoel Israel, the founder and CEO of WadiDigital, the world's leading tech marketing agency, and Cyfluencer, the only B2B tech influencer marketing platform. Yoel is also the founder and host of the YouTube channel Israel Unfiltered, a platform for Israeli news and culture. Yoel is passionate about sales, LinkedIn, and entrepreneurship, and if you want to see passion, watch this episode. Israel, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Is 20 minutes going to be enough?
Definitely not. But we're going to try to crunch it in here to fit the format. And if not, I'm just going to take up the whole night. So thank you very much for joining me. Yoel, you're doing something that's so fascinating to me. You're taking a passion of mine, which is cybersecurity, and you're putting it together with something I know very little about, which is marketing. And it's also something that is not really trivial, when you're thinking about, what is the, biggest connection to cybersecurity. So I'm excited to both understand your journey into this intersection of cyber and marketing, and also talk about Cyfluence, talk about WadiDigital and how you're building, your own career and your own expertise through these domains. So Yoel, thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks again for having me. I mean, intro to kind of, like everything else, things kind of happen naturally and you kind of stumble your way into things in a way. That's like probably 75% true. The other 25% true is I saw an opportunity at something that I was excellent at and I executed very hard. But I mean, I've always had a good brain for marketing and media. I understand how to grab attention, how to give attention. I'm a fantastic communicator and orator. I'm very good at selecting what words to use when, which made me a really good ad copywriter. So I started actually working for a friend of mine for 30 shekels an hour at night doing Google Ads like 9 years ago. And that's how I kind of got into advertising. But originally I was introduced to Twitter in 2009 by my friend Hillel Fold, who's very well known in Israel and the tech scene in general, telling me I had to get on Twitter then. And I did. And then I was studying my MBA at Bar Ilan University. I got Bar Ilan on Twitter. They ended up giving me a scholarship. And so that went well. And then I don't really use Twitter now. I could see it's like it's a cesspool of the worst people in the world.
Wait, I want to make sure I understood this, Yoel. You got a scholarship to Bar Ilan through Twitter, through leveraging Twitter.
I built it for them. Okay, so I was like, Hillel was like, yeah, Twitter was like new then. He's like, dude, you got to get on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know who you are and how did I end up in this coffee shop where you're buying me coffee? He convinced me to come meet him in Beit Shemesh. As far as I knew, could have been a predator. He's the sweetest man. He really likes to help people. And so I wanted to test it out. So I did it with, I created my own Twitter, but then I went for Bar Ilan Business School. And I helped them attract international students. And then they told me they succeeded. And so they ended up giving me, I was studying there at the same time. So they actually deducted my tuition. It's like
incredible.
Anyway, so after that, I went back to Philly then, and that was 2009. And then I was kind of doing it on the side, Facebook, mostly organic, and for local businesses, not really much Twitter. No one knew what it was. Facebook was fresh then. I was introduced to ads. I saw what you can do with ads. I saw the dashboard, and I had a finance background, so I love those numbers, and I love looking at all that data. And then I understood that I actually get to manipulate the actual numbers. I'm actually an active participant. I'm not just analyzing, as opposed to what I studied in finance. And it provided more room for personality. And I was like, oh, this is great. I think this is what I'm going to do. I ended up, when I made Aliyah, I landed with a job in tourism. And then at night, I was doing this thing for Google Ads for a friend for 30 shekels an hour. And then basically, I understood it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to dominate in this. And he's a great guy, but he was like, dude, you're like, you're a little too a little too much for me. I ended up started selling, and he would do most of the serving. He was the expert. He was a Google Ads whiz, and he would train me and pay me 30 shekels, and I would do it, and then I would start to get more money if I brought in sales, and then I asked to go 50-50 with him, and he was like, "Dude, I got 10 years experience. He was like 4 months." He was like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, but I can bring in business. I've already brought in a couple clients. I mean, they were small and they weren't cybersecurity or anything like that." And he wasn't having it, so then I just broke off, started WadiDigital with no intention of building anything. My logos for $5 and then it just naturally grew. And then when LinkedIn ads really started to take off, I was doing LinkedIn ads. I was one of the first, like I think, 20 core advertisers in the world, the first in Israel. And I was
Really?
using LinkedIn lead generation forums. I was among the first. That's how I was able to get Teva International, a lot of big clients. And then I was like, hey, just like I captured you on LinkedIn ads, I'm going to help you use it for acquisition. I was always the leading LinkedIn advertiser in the world, and I just embraced it. And that's because I actually have a strong background in LinkedIn. We actually took a course in college in 2006 about LinkedIn when it was just a recruitment platform when I was studying finance in undergrad. It
2006.
was just a recruitment platform. It was basically your CV. That's it. It was just like, it was a thing of CV. There was no posting. There was no newsfeed. The home screen was your profile. It was 100% for recruitment. And we had a whole thing about it because they were trying to help you get employment, and it was like business development. It was really, it was a very good business school. I went to Fox School of Business at Temple University in Philly, where I'm from. So I had that whole background, and I loved the platform, and I loved it, and I love business. I love networking with people, and I mean now LinkedIn is really it's the platform I really love because it's kind of like everything in Facebook without everything that you hate, right? So my in-laws aren't there, my parents aren't there, your cat's videos aren't there, your politics aren't there, your opinion on vaccines or masks or coronavirus or this and that is not there. It's just positive productivity, business, networking, people that have the same mindset as me. The only thing I think, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, the one thing LinkedIn is missing is blue collar workers. And those are the real people that actually move our economy, keep the lights on, the wood running, and everything else. A lot of people that we take for granted. And those are probably the most important and fascinating personalities, and they're probably missing the most. But obviously, I got way off topic. And so that's how I kind of got into LinkedIn ads. And then actually being in Israel, I being in cybersecurity, started to network into that way and just started throwing events called LinkedIn Local Tel Aviv, where we'd all get together in Tel Aviv, talk about people we know on LinkedIn that we never met in person. We would meet, and I would talk about like LinkedIn tactics. Sometimes I'd bring guest speakers from Dale Carnegie Israel, and I brought Hill Full once. I brought all kind of great marketers, and I'm actually planning one now in the metaverse in the first week of February.
Oh my God.
You don't need a VR set. It's kind of like Doom. You can use like your computer, and because we have a client that's doing events in the metaverse, and so we're using them and help promote them for cyber marketers. But more on that next week. But so yeah, I just naturally networked my way in there. But then I also fell in love with cybersecurity because I love cybersecurity professionals. I don't mean the marketers. I mean the cybersecurity people that they target. Now, one, I have an advantage as an American who worked in Morgan Stanley and Xerox in Philly. I understand what the businesses look like, who goes to what conferences, who shows up to what meetings. I understand how to target who the influencers and decision makers are. I know how to map out an enterprise and an organization, and I know how to understand who speaks to whom. These are things that I understand better than anyone else in Israel and even many people in America themselves, because I'm able to absorb this information very well. But what's uniquely about what I like about cybersecurity professionals is that they are natural skeptics, kind of like me. When they hear something, they got to be a little worried. Why? Because everything that they see that comes by their desk, they're always thinking of how is this a security threat? That's their entire life, whatever it is. Your Wi-Fi, your email, your username is your badge being hacked, everything. Their entire thing, these cybersecurity professionals at these enterprises or even SMBs, that is their sole responsibility. So naturally they're skeptics, and I'd like that I was able to speak to them. And being able to get a lead and be able to connect with a cybersecurity professional means that you have phenomenal personality skills because you're able to sell, speak, and connect with some of the most skeptical people in the world, the professionals, white collar professionals. And that's why I love cybersecurity marketing. So I use my persuasion skills, and I don't mean that in a negative way, I mean in a positive way, my communication skills, my understanding of enterprises, the needs of cybersecurity professionals, and my very strong networking in order to provide phenomenal results for our cybersecurity clients here in Israel in order to reach those enterprises abroad so they can continue to grow and we can continue to revolutionize cybersecurity and keep the world safe.
Cybersecurity. Is that a passion of yours? Is that something that requires interest in order to be good in marketing in it?
Interest? No, no. You need to understand who you're marketing to. So, like, if you know what I mean, you don't need to have like a passion or an interest or things, right? So, like, you don't have to. And by the way, I don't believe in following your passion or things like that. I think that's bullshit. I think you should find what you're good at and bring your passion with it. And and see how you can find your
What's the
passion.
difference? What is the difference there? It's a nuanced difference, but
It's
it's an
not even
important one.
nuance.
What
It's
is that?
huge. I don't know, Michael. What are you passionate about? 10 years. How old are you,
Wow,
Michael?
25.
Oh my God, you're young. Okay, 5 years. When you were in the before, when you were in, what were you passionate about 5 years ago? When you're getting out of the army, what were you passionate about?
Wow, behavioral economics,
Okay, what are you doing now? You're talking to a microphone.
VC.
See what I mean? Why do you go into behavioral economics? You know what I mean? I was passionate about baseball, not playing baseball.
Well, maybe you would have been a great player.
No, dude, I'm 5'7". Definitely
But
not.
seriously, y'all, so you're confronted with the challenge. You're getting in this client that has to now be represented by you in campaigns, and you're gonna have to think strategically about how to message that client towards individuals that are experts that understand what they're talking about, and potentially can pay a lot of money for this. How do you strategically go about thinking through how to message if you don't understand the technology?
Well, you don't. First of all, I do understand the technology because it demonstrated to me. I may not understand it at the scope that they do, but I understand that the problems, the issues, and the vulnerabilities that these enterprises have, and I understand that the solutions my cybersecurity companies, my clients have. So I'm able to. I'm a strong communicator, so I can communicate to them in a way that they would understand. However, that being said, I understand that they're often not necessarily. They're skeptical of ads in general, and I found that especially with, let's say, LinkedIn ads, which is very top funnel, means that they're never actually interested in the product at that moment. There's no intent. It's not like Google search, which is obviously much better in order for you want to get them to convert. Is that I understood is that the thing is that the biggest, most important thing in marketing, whether cybersecurity or not, but cybersecurity even more so, is the importance of trust. Okay, Michael, I trust you. If you recommend me work with a certain product, software, or technology, such as we're using this company called Riverside, which is what we're recording on here, and you were telling me how great they are, and they're still improving. That's awesome. Great. I trust you. So something I'm willing to consider to do on my podcast and my recordings. Lovely. The same thing with cybersecurity marketers, even more so. So there are certain cybersecurity and security professionals that they follow that people will trust, and they will literally they'll follow them blindfolded. And so what I've done is, since LinkedIn and Google wasn't enough in order to be able to get those sales and that trust that I needed for my clients, I decided to build a cybersecurity influencer marketing platform called Cyfluencer. And we have dozens of cybersecurity companies on it, and dozens of very top tier influencers. And what we're able to do is they go and they share your content. So instead of me trying to do it via ads or organically, or God forbid, just cold message cybersecurity people, they'll tell you to fuck off, and they'll share with all of their friends, never talk to this person. And you're probably on some like lists now, like people to be avoided. You'd be surprised what these people go through. I can show you some Reddit threads. But what ends up happens is that they trust these people. They're going to share your content. And now these people have very high integrity. The cybersecurity professionals, mostly CISOs, North America, are on our platform. They come in, you look at these cybersecurity companies' content. We only share very good and valuable content. If not, we don't let them on the platform. We're extremely picky. They share that content onto their socials. Everything's trackable. And then what they're able to do is they have to add 50 characters of their own, introducing and saying why they should read this piece. Now, it comes off as an organic recommendation from someone that people in the industry, everyone trusts, and they would never share anything they don't stand behind, and they would never say anything that they really don't honestly believe, because that's the character and that's the personality of cybersecurity professionals, which is why I love them so much. And so I've been able to reach them by finding the people that they listen to. They're not listening to LinkedIn. They're not listening to outreach. They're saying fuck you to your ads. They don't care. They don't trust anything. So when there isn't a solution, I built the solution. The same thing is that we decided we find that they're reading cybersecurity magazines online. They're only trusting other cybersecurity professionals. So we built something called cyberintelmag.com. It's a cybersecurity magazine so we can best serve our clients. Eventually, we're going to do all this for AI also too. We're just got to get to a critical mass to the point where we're more profitable. And then we're going to obviously take what we've learned and adapt it to other industries, AI and big data. So there's really what you're doing is instead of you thinking, how do I get through to this person, which is wrong, you want to say, the question is, who do they listen to? And why do they listen to? And how can I get that person to say what I want in good faith? And then we pursue that aggressively. And through that, I've been able to build a fantastic reputation of how we're able to deliver for our clients, and that no one else can able to do, because we weren't just looking at as another Me Too marketing agency. We also do LinkedIn. We also do Google. We also do B2B. We also do cyber. No, we do cyber marketing. No one else has the products that we built. We don't have any competition. We literally don't. So therefore, it's a marketplace. So it's kind of hard, just like LinkedIn doesn't have competition. So there's the only way is through us. So even competitors that might be doing marketing for cybersecurity companies, they're still using Cyfluencer for influencer marketing because we're getting that demand gen, that top funnel stuff to get them to find out who you are and come to your website and begin with. And then, of course, all the remarketing kicks in thereafter once they come to your site and they're able to retarget them and bring them into the funnel. And that's how you're able to succeed.
Incredible. Going back to the roots of marketing, as a, obviously, the way you communicate and the way that you think and strategically think, it's I can't imagine that everything came just naturally and off the bat. You must have improved along the way. How do you systematically improve as a marketer? What do you hold yourself accountable to? Is it project by project? Do you debrief with different clients in different positions? How do you get better yourself at what you do?
Experience. I mean, it's the same way you get better at asking questions in interviews. You ask questions, you see how the other people have answered it. Did they answer well? Maybe you weren't precise in your speech. So you sharpen your saw and you try to improve your questions and how you ask and when you space. Maybe I should chop this question up into 2 questions. And so you always improve. You're improving by experience and by getting that feedback loop. That's how the same thing I do and every other professional improves, is that I test things. Did it work? Did those leads become opportunities? Did they end up speaking to sales? Or they just filled out a form and they're ignoring us forever? So these are things that I need to learn and see and need to incorporate. I look back at the messaging, at the targeting, and all of that. Who else is seeing the other content within their organization? And you just continue to improve and adapt. And you look at the data, use a little bit of intuition, and some humility goes a long way.
I want to look back on what you said before, but it left me thinking about the way that you're optimizing for this trust and for optimizing for the message to be delivered by a person who you have faith in, right? And therefore, it sounds to me like if in traditional marketing, I was taught that I can either optimize for impressions or clicks and probably some balance of the two, and I'm paying for a combination of them. What you're saying is, I don't really care about the impression. When the person gets the impression, they will click on it because I'm making sure that it's so critical that I hit the nail on the head, right? Is that sort of the strategy here?
I mean, that's just if your goal is to get a click, sure. But what good is a click if it's clickbait, right? To get to something that they weren't looking for to begin with. At the end of the day, you need to speak to people's pain points and challenges, and speak as technical as possible if you're targeting cybersecurity professionals or any kind of technical people. Because if you speak their language and then there's a bigger pain point, they're more likely to click. But more importantly, turns out if they're not interested and they're not in the market, if you're too generic, they might click and might not be relevant to begin with. So you want to be as technical and as specific as possible. So those that aren't in the market opt out and ignore your ad, don't click on it, and you don't pay for that click.
Right. If we're looking at marketing the next 3-4 years, in your opinion, let's stick with cybersecurity marketing. And we're obviously, some people call it a bubble. It doesn't really matter for the sake of this conversation, even though I believe it's not.
I wrote a big post about that last week, by the way. I don't know if you saw. Did you see it?
I'm gonna be spending the next half hour reading that post.
It's not that long. I think it's a wave, not a bubble. We're catching up. We're closing the gap on the cybersecurity vulnerabilities, and that's why. So I think things will slow down, but I don't think the bubble's going to pop.
So I think that you and I are going to have an interesting conversation regardless after this episode. But how do you see the world of cybersecurity marketing transitioning in the next few years?
It's just going to grow and adapt more, and that's it, being able to reach them. I think influencer marketing is going to be a bigger piece of the pie going on, because it's about trust. That's it. It's about trust. It's about trust. Like, I mean, right? If you send me a workout plan, or with ads, do this, do that, get your abs like this. Here's some before and after photos. Use this. But guess what? My personal trainer comes twice every Sunday morning and every Thursday morning. My wife and I work out together. He helps us. If he recommends something, I'm doing it. He's the person I trust. So you got to get to him to get to me, which is why sometimes you think you want to get to the CISO, you don't. Who do they trust? Who do they advise? Including people in their organization and influencers without, and also what their competitors are doing, and so on and so forth. So it's all about building trust. You need to build trust with people, individuals, organizations, influencers, and through that, you can use your marketing channels. You can use different channels within marketing in order to reach and get the message out to the right people. So therefore, you can reach the end person you are trying to and the people around them. So therefore, they'll move forward. We're trying to learn more about your product or my client's products.
I love it. Yoel, how do you do what you do? Is it fun? Is it the thrill of getting it right? How do you work so hard with you? Because obviously, I don't think you come to these understandings and the motivation that you're presenting here just by holding a regular 9-to-5 job.
I don't know who's holding a 9 to 5 job. I mean, if you're working 9 to 5, then there's a mistake. I'm passionate, and I have an insane level of professionalism, and I will not let myself do anything half-ass. So anything I do, it's hardcore. So I go all in. When I work out, it's all in. You know what I mean? When I sleep, I make sure I get the best sleep and heavy sleep and deep sleep and uninterrupted sleep. Whatever, everything I do, I go all in. You know what I mean? I'm there, I'm active, and I want to be the best, and I want to dominate, and that is my goal. So that's it. And I keep trying to be the best, and if not, life isn't worth living. At 50%.
This is one of my favorite moments in over 700 episodes. Yoel, thank you very, very much for these last 20 minutes. I really appreciate your time and this amazing energy. I'm leaving more energetic than when I came in with, and I learned a lot. So thank you very much, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Pleasure.